Why is it impossible to quietly rob a funeral home of someone's grandmother in an urn? Yet somehow, a soldier casually stole an army helicopter and parked it right on the White House lawn. Welcome to 71 Most Absurd and Impossible Things Ever Stolen in Every State, where we are exposing the wildest heists in history, like Einstein's stolen brain riding around in a cider box, 20,000 pounds of cheddar vanishing in Wisconsin, a 400-pound Ronald McDonald clown yanked out of his shoes, and a whole tanker of sugar syrup hijacked in Vegas. We are proving which insane stolen loot stories are real history and which sound way too dumb to be true. So smash that subscribe button before some sneaky thief steals it first. 1. Industrial crooks once made an entire New Jersey beach vanish over several months. Back in the 1920s, these greedy schemers looked at the Jersey shoreline and saw pure profit instead of sand. They rolled in heavy steam shovels like it was a totally normal workday. Scoop by scoop, they hauled away real public coastline to sell the sand for concrete. Beachgoers showed up for relaxing fun and found a crime scene. Their precious shore was now somebody else's driveway somewhere. Explaining that disaster to the kids must have been rough. The ocean stayed put while the beach simply ghosted everyone. 2. Disgruntled employees robbed their own bug museum in true horror movie fashion. In 2018, the Philadelphia Insectarium lost about 80% of its living collection overnight. We are talking thousands of tarantulas, hissing roaches, and creepy crawlies all gone. The wildest part came when the owner finally walked inside. These thieving insiders had pinned their work uniforms to the walls using actual knives. That was basically a resignation letter written in pure nightmares. They smuggled the critters out to sell on the exotic pet market. Nobody ever expected the bugs to stage their own great escape. 3. Albert Einstein died in 1955 and the doctor handling his body had other plans. Thomas Harvey was supposed to simply confirm the cause of death. Instead, he quietly removed the most famous brain on Earth and kept it for himself. He stored the genius gray matter inside a cider box, tucked into a beer cooler. Then he hauled it around the Midwest in his car trunk for decades. This man drove around with Einstein riding shotgun in a jar. He even sliced it up and mailed pieces to researchers. Science has rarely looked this gloriously unhinged. 4. Ohio managed to lose an entire 58-foot bridge to one shameless thief. Back in 2021, this mastermind wanted the park bridge gone, so he skipped sneaking entirely. He called up a local trucking company that offered crane service like a normal customer. The crew showed up, disassembled the whole structure, and hauled it away completely. They probably believed they were working a perfectly legitimate paid job. Park visitors arrived to cross the creek and found nothing but open air. One guy turned grand theft into a scheduled afternoon appointment. The sheer confidence honestly deserves a slow clap. 5. High inside a Rhode Island steeple hung a massive bell that simply disappeared. During the 1970s, thieves stared up at this giant prize, and most crooks would quit on sight. Not these guys, though. They rigged an entire rope and pulley system like tiny pirates plotting a museum job. Inch by inch, they lowered the heavy bell down without dropping it or making one sound. The townsfolk woke up and realized their beloved bell was completely gone. No clanging, no witnesses, and absolutely no clues remained behind. Somewhere, a thief felt extremely proud of his secret engineering talents that morning. 6. Dorothy's iconic ruby slippers got swiped by a man chasing imaginary riches. In 2005, he smashed a window at a Minnesota museum and grabbed the famous red shoes from the Wizard of Oz. Then he hid his glittering treasure for 13 long years. The whole time he believed those sparkles meant solid, genuine rubies inside. Plot twist for the criminal mastermind, though. They are sequins and glass, and basically craft store leftovers. He could have learned that from the closing credits alone. The FBI eventually recovered them in a sting. That man guarded fancy Halloween footwear for over a decade. 7. Selling ancient glacier ice to fancy cocktail bars became a real Alaskan hustle. During the 1990s, sneaky bootleggers slipped into protected coastal waters with a wild plan. They harvested chunks of ice that had formed slowly over thousands of years. Then, they sold these frozen relics to luxury lounges for serious money. Wealthy customers happily paid top dollar to chill drinks with prehistoric ice. Sipping a martini cooled by something older than every pyramid sounds absurd. The bootleggers treated raw nature like a free convenience store freezer. Those glaciers survived ice ages just to melt in overpriced gin. 8. Running a secret catering empire from inside a prison sounds completely impossible. Yet one Texas kitchen boss pulled it off for 9 entire years. He oversaw the food operation at a county facility and saw opportunity everywhere. Over and over, he hijacked food delivery trucks funded by local taxpayers. Then he used all that free product to run an off-books private catering racket. The county bought groceries and he flipped them at events for pure profit. Nobody flagged the missing inventory for almost a decade somehow. The man stacked 2 careers and 1 crime into a single apron. 9. Reaching inside one of America's most sacred symbols, a worker stole its tongue. Way back in 1836, this rogue employee had full access to the Liberty Bell. Instead of feeling patriotic, he yanked the heavy iron clapper right out. That clapper is the exact part that makes the famous ringing sound. He carried it home and hid it on his family estate for decades. Entire generations passed while this chunk of history sat in somebody's house. The bell already carried its legendary crack and now lost its voice too. Disrespecting a national treasure rarely gets this casual or bold. 10. Under cover of total darkness, poachers dragged off a 1,000-year-old tree. In 1992, Washington had a massive ancient western red cedar in a protected forest. This giant had been growing since long before your great-great-grandparents existed. One night, timber thieves rolled in with seriously heavy equipment. They cut the towering legend down and hauled it away completely unseen. Rangers later found only a sad, enormous stump where centuries once stood. The crooks chopped it up and sold the wood for fast cash. A tree that beat 1,000 winters lost to one greedy chainsaw night. 11. City streets across Illinois started losing their manhole covers to scrap-hungry thieves. In 2015, crooks roamed the roads lifting dozens of heavy iron covers right off the ground. Each one was an absolute beast to handle, yet they kept hauling them away. The reason behind it all was almost laughably simple. They cashed the metal in for raw scrap weight. Drivers and pedestrians suddenly faced gaping open holes everywhere they walked. One wrong step meant disappearing straight into the sewer system. The thieves earned pocket change while turning neighborhoods into accidental booby traps. Greed really does sink to incredible new lows. 12. Waking up to find 2,500 beehives gone overnight is a special nightmare. That horror hit California beekeepers in 2017 when bee rustlers struck in the dark. These were not average crooks grabbing electronics off a shelf. They backed up flatbed trucks and loaded humming, buzzing hives stacked sky high. The haul was worth a staggering $900,000 in working bees. Pulling this off required real beekeeping skill to avoid getting stung into oblivion. Somewhere out there, a criminal mastermind also moonlights as an expert apiarist. Stealing nature's hardest workers takes nerve a truck and serious protective gear. 13. North Carolina thieves cracked open a vehicle expecting valuables and got something grimmer. In 2015, they broke into a secure vehicle and found a custom trailer inside. Most crooks would celebrate scoring a trailer immediately. Then they discovered the actual cargo waiting in there. It held an anatomically correct human medical cadaver meant for science. Their excited faces surely dropped opening that door for tools or cash. Instead, a very real dead body stared right back at them. The thieves still took the whole thing rolling away with a corpse on board. No robber ever wants that plot twist on their resume. 14. A 400-pound Ronald McDonald clown got yanked straight out of his shoes. In 2012, Missouri thieves eyed the giant fiberglass mascot sitting in a playground. The beloved statue was bolted into concrete by the feet. The crooks did not care about precious childhood memories one bit. They ripped the heavy clown free, leaving his empty shoes behind in the cement. A lonely pair of giant red shoes stood there like a crime scene. Somewhere that creepy grinning statue went on the run. Stealing a fast food clown is dumb, but stealing him barefoot is pure comedy. 15. An entire shipping container full of instant ramen got hijacked in Georgia. Back in 2018, thieves targeted a cargo yard with surprisingly specific cravings. They made off with a full container holding $98,000 worth of noodle packets. That is a truly absurd mountain of midnight snacks. The warehouse manager surely checked inventory and found pure emptiness. The crooks essentially robbed a broke college student's entire dream pantry. Reselling that much ramen on the black market sounds exhausting, honestly. Yet somebody decided cheap noodles were worth a whole heist. America's favorite broke week dinner finally became valuable enough to steal in bulk. 16. Fake police officers pulled off the biggest art heist in American history. In 1992, men dressed as cops talked their way into Boston's Gardner Museum. They tied up the real security guards and roamed free all night long. Then they sliced priceless Rembrandt masterpieces right out of their frames. These paintings were worth hundreds of millions of dollars combined. The thieves vanished and the artwork has never been recovered to this day. Empty frames still hang on the museum walls, waiting like ghosts. Decades later, the entire case remains completely unsolved. Somewhere those masterpieces hide while the world keeps wondering where. 17. Las Vegas watched flash mob crews turn luxury shopping into pure chaos. In 2023, coordinated thieves blitzed high-end retail venues right on the famous Strip. They moved fast and hit hard like a tornado in designer sneakers. Within seconds, they vanished, carrying $100,000 in runway luxury dresses. Shoppers and staff barely had time to process what happened. These crews treated boutiques like a timed video game, grabbing everything sparkly. Cameras caught nothing but blurs of people sprinting out with armloads of couture. The whole thing felt less like a robbery and more like an expensive smash-and-grab relay race. 18. A soldier stole an actual army helicopter and parked it on the White House lawn. In 1974, a rogue private snuck onto Fort Meade with enormous ambition. He climbed into a real Huey chopper and simply lifted off into the sky. Then, he flew straight toward the most guarded home in America. He set that helicopter down right on the presidential lawn like a delivery driver. Security absolutely lost their minds at the unbelievable sight. This man basically said, "Hold my beer" to national defense. Stealing a chopper is wild, but valet parking it at the president's house is next-level audacity. 19. Someone in Oregon decided a portable toilet was worth committing crimes over. In 2014, an entrepreneurial thief cut through security fencing at a highway construction site. Most crooks target tools or copper or equipment with actual value. This genius zeroed in on a 12-foot heavy-duty commercial porta-potty. He hauled the giant plastic outhouse away from the active work zone. The construction crew arrived to find their bathroom completely kidnapped. Now the thief owned the world's least glamorous trophy. Whatever his master plan was, it definitely involved questionable life choices. Few crimes scream desperation quite like stealing a roadside toilet. 20. An entire herd of prized livestock vanished from a remote Hawaii ranch. In 2021, organized agricultural thieves raided a valley operation with military precision. These were not random animals grabbed in a blind panic. They were valuable breeding livestock representing years of careful work. The crooks drove the whole herd off the property and disappeared completely. The rancher walked out at sunrise to silent and empty pastures. Generations of bloodlines gone in a single coordinated night. Rustling cattle sounds like something from an old Western movie. Yet it happened in paradise, proving thieves chase profit even across tropical mountains. 21. Greedy thieves in Florida grabbed a medical cooler dreaming of treasure. In 2020, they snatched a specialized transport container expecting drugs or organs worth selling. Instead, the cooler held a human placenta headed to a laboratory for research. The crooks popped that lid with excited anticipation and froze. What stared back was definitely not their idea of a glamorous payday. The science world lost valuable research material to pure greedy guesswork. Now these robbers had to explain their disgusting, useless prize to each other. Few heists end with criminals holding afterbirth and deep regret. Crime occasionally delivers its own perfect punishment. 22. Robbing a haunted asylum sounds like the start of a curse. Yet in 2014, an Indiana thief crept into the notoriously spooky psychiatric building anyway. Most people refuse to even enter places with that kind of reputation. This guy strolled right past the ghost stories with zero fear. He hauled out a historic 100-year-old steel operating table weighing a ton. Dragging heavy haunted metal through dark, crumbling hallways alone takes nerve. Every horror movie instinct screamed run, yet he kept lifting. The thief either had nerves of steel or no imagination whatsoever. Some loot really is not worth the spirits attached to it. 23. Wisconsin cheese is so beloved that criminals built a heist around it. In 2019, a dedicated cheese bandit crew intercepted a commercial freight shipment. They were not after gold or electronics or cash whatsoever. They wanted 20,000 pounds of premium wholesale cheddar and nothing less. That is a mountain of dairy worthy of a Wisconsin fever dream. The crooks vanished with enough cheese to feed a small city. Celebrating beside an avalanche of stolen cheddar blocks sounds surreal. Only in America does cheese become serious organized crime loot. Somewhere, a thief was the proudest, most lactose-loaded man alive. 24. $7 once bought a clueless shopper an actual Renoir masterpiece. In 2010, an art thief lifted an original Pierre-Auguste Renoir from a Virginia museum. This treasure belonged in climate-controlled galleries behind heavy security. Somehow it surfaced at a local flea market priced like a garage sale doodle. A bargain hunter scored museum-worthy art for less than a sandwich costs. The seller cheerfully handed over priceless French painting for pocket change. That journey from gallery wall to flea market table is pure comedy. Experts later confirmed the dusty little canvas was the real deal. Few thrift finds ever hit that absurd a jackpot. 25. Tuxedo-wearing gangsters seized an entire luxury hotel on New Year's morning. In 1972, a slick crew took over New York's ultra-exclusive Pierre Hotel. They strolled in dressed for an elegant gala, not a robbery. Then they calmly cracked open safe deposit boxes one after another. Their take reached a record $3 million in high society jewels. These were no panicked smash-and-grab amateurs whatsoever. They moved with the polish of dinner guests committing grand theft. Wealthy patrons woke up to find their diamonds simply gone. The whole job felt ripped from a glamorous heist film with better tailoring. 26. Driving off in a stolen freight locomotive is next-level insanity. In 2002, an Alabama thief strolled into a secure train yard with big plans. He climbed aboard a massive multi-ton commercial railroad locomotive like it owed him money. Then he actually got the giant machine running and rolled away. Casually piloting a stolen train down the tracks defies all logic. There is no quiet getaway when your ride weighs as much as a building. Where exactly do you hide a locomotive afterward anyway? This man asked himself zero practical questions beforehand. Still, he pulled off wonderfully ridiculous grand theft. 27. Old hospital x-rays became unlikely treasure for Michigan scrappers. In 2013, thieves broke in and rolled out 15,000 vintage medical x-ray sheets. They did not want the images or the patient history at all. They craved the trace amounts of silver baked into the old film. Grown adults hauling thousands of x-rays to melt them down is bizarre. The payout from such tiny silver bits could not have been impressive, yet they committed serious crime for microscopic flecks of metal. Somebody did the math and decided ghostly bone scans equaled profit. Scrapping desperation truly knows no limits whatsoever. 28. Maine lobsters got swiped before they even reached the morning market. In 2015, maritime poachers raided coastal water traps under cover of darkness. They hauled out hundreds of pounds of live premium lobsters. These were destined for breakfast plates and fancy seafood dinners. The thieves basically robbed the ocean's pantry right before harvest time. Honest fishermen pulled up empty traps at sunrise feeling absolutely crushed. Months of patient work vanished into someone else's illegal payday. Stealing seafood straight from the sea sounds almost cartoonish. Yet in Maine, lobster is gold, and gold attracts greedy hands. 29. A human skull walked out of a Louisiana lab in a thief's arms. In 2018, crooks broke in and took a preserved vintage skull. Scientists had relied on it for skeletal mapping and serious research. The thieves apparently wanted it for reasons nobody wants to imagine. Strolling out of a building cradling a real human head is deeply unsettling. There is no innocent explanation for that particular shopping list. The skull had served as an educational tool for many quiet years. Then greed or weirdness or both turned it into stolen loot. some heists make money while others just make detectives uncomfortable. 30. Robbing literal firefighters takes a special breed of shameless. In 2019, a Mississippi collector eyed a gorgeous restored 1950s fire truck. It sat proudly inside a local volunteer fire department garage. This was no forgotten rusty heap nobody wanted around. It was a lovingly restored piece of community history and pride. The thief drove the bright red beauty right out of the station. Volunteer firefighters arrived to an empty, embarrassing parking spot. The very people who saved the town got robbed of their classic ride. Stealing from heroes really scrapes the bottom of the barrel. 31. Arizona thieves popped open a stolen truck, expecting riches, and found dinner. Back in 2012, they hacked into a high-capacity commercial refrigerator truck and drove the whole thing away. The crooks likely dreamed of electronics or liquor stacked inside. Instead, an Arctic wonderland of frozen gourmet hot dogs greeted them. Mountains of wieners filled every inch of that freezing trailer. That is enough sausage to host every backyard cookout in the state. Reselling cold hot dogs on the black market sounds exhausting, honestly. Somewhere, a thief became the unwilling king of stolen ballpark francs. 32. George Washington's own handwriting got smuggled out one jacket pocket at a time. In 2014, a rogue Connecticut archivist had access to priceless 18th century letters. These documents carried the actual signature of the first president himself. Most people would treat such treasures with trembling respect. This guy treated them like loose receipts to grab on his way out. Over several casual months, he slipped history past everyone watching. He calmly tucked Founding Father autographs somewhere near his lunch bag. The man betrayed both his job and his nation's heritage. Few crimes feel quite this personally insulting to the country. 33. Somebody in Utah really wanted a pumpkin the size of a refrigerator. In 2016, thieves backed a heavy trailer up to a public exhibit with one goal. They craved the award-winning 1,200-pound giant gourd and nothing else. This competitive monster had been grown with obsessive, loving care. The crooks loaded over half a ton of squash and rolled away slowly. Its proud grower returned to nothing but an empty pumpkin-shaped void. Months of feeding and pampering vanished into a getaway trailer. Where do you even hide a vegetable that enormous afterward? Some heists chase diamonds, while this one chased dinner. 34. Trusted railroad workers in Colorado made an entire boxcar of steel disappear. During the 1970s, a rogue train crew cooked up a sneaky inside scheme. They rerouted a massive commercial rail boxcar far away from its path. Then, they hid it completely loaded with valuable structural steel parts. The company spent ages searching the rails for a missing chunk of train. These were not outsiders breaking in, but insiders playing very dirty. They used their own railroad knowledge to vanish heavy cargo. Hiding a boxcar takes nerve space and incredible confidence. Their daily job quietly became a wonderfully complicated heist. 35. Greedy copper thieves once knocked an entire Arkansas county offline. In 2017, a scrap metal crew tore down miles of active high-voltage lines. They were chasing the valuable copper hidden inside those wires. Their reckless harvest shut down communications across the whole region. Suddenly, thousands of people could not call anyone for help. No phones meant no emergencies, no businesses, and pure chaos everywhere. The thieves crippled an entire community just for some scrap cash. They basically unplugged a county to fill one truck bed. Few crimes inconvenience that many innocent people at once. 36. Stealing a champion rodeo bull sounds like a great way to die. Yet in 2018, Nebraska thieves targeted a valuable competitive breeding bull anyway. This was no ordinary cow grazing lazily in some field. He was a prize champion worth serious money and prized bloodlines. The crooks crept into the secured pasture and led the beast away. Quietly handling a massive angry bull seems nearly impossible. That animal could turn any getaway into a trampling disaster instantly. Still, they vanished with one of the toughest creatures around. Rustling something built to buck cowboys takes confidence bordering on insanity. 37. Few thieves stoop low enough to kidnap a dead grandmother. In 2013, West Virginia intruders broke into a funeral home anyway. They walked out carrying an occupied cremation urn full of human remains. Inside rested a family's beloved ancestor turned to gentle ash. The crooks essentially took Grandma hostage for no logical reason at all. That grieving family soon learned their loved one got snatched after death. There is no resale market for stolen ashes whatsoever. This crime accomplished nothing except shattering broken hearts even further. Some thieves chase riches while others apparently chase pure heartless cruelty. 38. Hot wiring a getaway car is normal, but an antique tractor is comedy. In 2015, an Iowa crook eyed a vintage operational farm tractor on display. This classic machine proudly represented decades of agricultural history. Most thieves cannot even operate such ancient mechanical equipment. This guy actually sparked the old engine and rumbled slowly away. His entire escape happened at roughly 5 miles per hour. Museum staff returned to find their prized tractor simply gone. He basically stole a parade float and called it a robbery. Escaping a crime scene on farm equipment is gloriously inefficient. 39. Black market gold took a strange form for one New Hampshire crime ring. In 2021, organized crooks hit multiple grocery stores with an odd shopping list. They systematically swept the shelves clean of high-end baby formula. We are talking thousands of dollars in powdered infant nutrition. Exhausted parents kept arriving to find empty formula aisles everywhere. The thieves resold those stolen cans for serious illegal profit. Babies needed that formula and criminals turned it into currency. Stealing food right out of infants' mouths is uniquely cold. Somewhere, a crook built an empire on hungry newborns. 40. History itself walked out a Delaware archive disguised as an ordinary visit. Back in 1998, a corrupt collector had access to priceless original documents. He targeted hand-signed battle maps drawn by actual Union generals. These very maps shaped real campaigns during the bloodiest American War. Most people would handle them like sacred and fragile relics. He simply folded the nation's heritage under his arm and left calmly. Nobody questioned the man's strolling past with founding war secrets. The collector traded public legacy for private selfish greed. Stealing the maps that guided a war betrays memory itself. 41. Idaho takes its potatoes so seriously that even the sacks become loot. In 2019, a thief targeted a roadside museum with an oddly specific obsession. He made off with a world record-sized collection of vintage rare potato sacks. Yes, the bags that once held spuds were the actual prize here. Someone had lovingly gathered these burlap relics over many years. The crook decided potato history belonged in his personal hands instead. Stealing empty potato sacks ranks among the strangest heists imaginable. Only in Idaho does humble farm packaging become a treasured target. That thief truly understood his very weird local market. 42. Sneaking onto a military runway to rob a cockpit takes terrifying nerve. In 2010, an Oklahoma thief crept onto an active base under the radar. He approached an open aircraft sitting quietly on the tarmac. Then he stripped high-tech navigation gear straight out of the cockpit. This was no parking lot grab, but a full military intrusion. Slipping past armed security to gut a warplane defies all sense. The man pocketed sensitive equipment most people never get near. Where he planned to sell stolen jet electronics remains a mystery. Robbing the military on its own turf is breathtakingly reckless. 43. A multi-ton bulldozer once escaped down a New Mexico highway at walking speed. In 2014, thieves strolled onto a job site and claimed a massive construction machine. They did not bother with trailers or clever disguises whatsoever. They simply fired up the bulldozer and drove it down a public road. The whole getaway crawled along at roughly 5 miles per hour. Every passing driver watched a giant stolen machine inch by. Nobody suspected a thing about the slowest escape in history. Hiding a bulldozer afterward had to be a logistical nightmare. Some heists demand speed, while this one demanded extreme patience. 44. Centuries-old maple trees got chopped down by greedy luxury poachers. In 2016, high-end tree thieves crept onto private Vermont land at night. They targeted pristine sugar maples that had grown for hundreds of years. These majestic giants were worth a fortune to fancy furniture makers. The poachers felled the ancient beauties and hauled the wood away quietly. Landowners woke to find their forest heritage brutally erased. Trees older than the country itself became someone's expensive coffee table. Stealing timber that survived centuries for furniture is deeply sad. Greed turned living history into showroom inventory overnight. 45. A 7-foot stuffed grizzly bear vanished from a wilderness lodge lobby. In 2012, Montana thieves eyed the towering taxidermy beast on display. This was no small souvenir tucked on a shelf somewhere. The mounted grizzly stood taller than most grown men around. The crooks somehow wrestled the massive stuffed animal out the door. Hauling a rigid 7-foot bear quietly seems nearly impossible. Lodge guests return to a strange empty corner where it once loomed. Where you hide a giant taxidermy grizzly remains anyone's guess. Stealing a dead bear that big is gloriously absurd work. 46. A genuine Hollywood cowboy saddle got lassoed by a sneaky thief. In 2017, a South Dakota crook targeted a local Wild West museum exhibit. He set his sights on a screen-used, historically accurate movie saddle. This prop had ridden through actual cinematic cowboy glory. The thief slipped it out from under everyone's noses entirely. A piece of film history galloped right out the museum door. Reselling a famous movie saddle takes a very specific buyer. Yet someone wanted that leather legend badly enough to steal it. Only out west does a saddle become prized criminal treasure. 47. Thousands of gallons of engine oil disappeared in one North Dakota night. In 2020, thieves stole a commercial distribution trailer packed completely full. Inside sat industrial engine oil, ready for serious heavy machinery. This was not a glamorous diamond or cash kind of score. They drove off with a slippery fortune in lubricant instead. Reselling that much oil quietly sounds wildly complicated, honestly. The crooks treated motor oil like liquid gold worth stealing. Somewhere a black market for stolen lubricant apparently exists. Few heists reek quite this strongly of pure industrial grease. 48. Stealing a rare printing of the Constitution is peak American audacity. In 2007, a Maryland thief targeted a university library collection. He zeroed in on a historically significant early printing of the document. This was the literal blueprint of the entire nation's foundation. Most people would treat such a relic with breathless reverence. He simply pocketed democracy and strolled right out the door. The library lost a priceless piece of founding history instantly. Selling the stolen Constitution requires a deeply unpatriotic buyer. Few crimes spit on the country quite this directly. 49. Fossil poachers dug up a prehistoric fish millions of years in the making. In 2015, Wyoming thieves raided a protected paleontology dig site. They unearthed a highly complete ancient fish fossil matrix. This relic had waited quietly in stone since long before humans existed. The crooks stole geologic history straight out of the ground. Scientists lost an irreplaceable window into the deep past. Selling poached fossils on the black market is sadly common. That fish survived millions of years just to get swiped. Robbing the planet of its own ancient memory feels uniquely wrong. 50. An operational World War II Jeep got stolen straight off a Hollywood backlot. In the 2000s, a thief targeted a vintage military Willys Jeep. This was no static museum piece gathering quiet dust. The Jeep served as a fully working active film prop. The crook drove a piece of wartime cinema right off the lot. Movie crews returned to find their historic vehicle simply gone. Stealing a running World War II Jeep takes both nerve and a clutch foot. That Jeep survived a world war only to vanish in showbiz. Hollywood lost a rumbling slice of living history that day. 51. Stealing miles of railroad track sounds impossible, yet thieves did exactly that. In the 1950s, a South Carolina gang eyed a decommissioned mountain logging line. They were not after a single rail or two for scrap. They cut down and rolled away mile after mile of solid iron track. Dismantling an entire railway by hand takes absurd dedication. The crew hauled off heavy metal that once carried whole trains. Anyone driving past surely wondered where the tracks suddenly went. Reselling that much iron required serious muscle and serious nerve. Few heists involve quietly erasing an entire railroad from the mountains. 52. Kentucky bourbon got so valuable that thieves launched an operation called Pappygate. In 2013, insiders swiped over 200 bottles of ultra-rare Pappy Van Winkle. This was no cheap liquor store grab for a quick buzz. Pappy bottles fetch thousands of dollars among obsessed collectors. The crooks lifted the priceless bourbon straight from the distillery itself. Whiskey lovers everywhere clutched their glasses in pure horror. The scandal shook the entire bourbon world to its core. Stealing legendary liquor turned ordinary workers into infamous outlaws. Only in Kentucky does bourbon inspire a full criminal conspiracy. 53. Body snatchers in Tennessee robbed the dead for shiny casket decorations. In the 2000s, these ghouls targeted historic family tombs. They pried silver handles and copper ornaments off 19th century caskets. Disturbing graves for a little scrap metal is genuinely disturbing. The thieves treated ancestral resting places like a hardware aisle. Families discovered their loved ones desecrated for cheap, shiny trim. There is something deeply unholy about robbing actual coffins. The crooks pocketed metal that had honored the dead for over a century. Few crimes managed to insult both the living and the departed. 54. A priceless Revolutionary War pistol slipped right past battlefield security. In the 1990s, a thief targeted the historic Brandywine site. He set his eyes on a functioning flintlock officer's pistol. This very weapon once fired during the fight for American independence. The crook quietly pocketed a genuine piece of the nation's birth. Slipping past guards with founding history takes cold nerve. A relic from the Revolution simply walked off the grounds. Selling such a famous firearm demands a shady collector. Stealing the actual tools of independence betrays the whole story. 55. Rare prehistoric tree ferns got dug up and vanished from a famous park. In the 1980s, botanical thieves crept into Golden Gate Park territory. They targeted a collection of endangered ancient ferns worth thousands. These living relics dated back to truly prehistoric times. The crooks uprooted plant history and carried it quietly away. Stealing rare greenery sounds gentle until the price tag appears. Gardeners returned to find sad, empty holes in the soil. Selling poached, endangered ferns is both illegal and shameless. Robbing a park of prehistoric plants is a uniquely leafy crime. 56. An intern stole the actual sounds of humanity reaching the moon. In 2010, this insider raided the National Archives depot. He swiped hundreds of original Apollo moon landing audio recordings. These tapes captured one of mankind's greatest triumphant moments. The intern planned to sell historic space audio online for profit. Selling stolen moon recordings is breathtakingly brazen behavior. He treated priceless human achievement like cheap eBay inventory. Future generations nearly lost the literal voices of exploration. Robbing the country of its proudest sounds is genuinely outrageous. 57. Relic hunters dug up live Civil War bombs using high-tech radar. In 2002, these reckless thieves scoured the Gettysburg battlefield. They used deep-ground radar to locate buried artillery shells. Then they illegally dug up unexploded Civil War ammunition. Handling century-old live explosives is a spectacularly bad idea. One wrong move could have ended their treasure hunt instantly. They risked their lives robbing hallowed sacred ground. Stealing dangerous war relics endangers everyone nearby too. Few heists combine grave robbing with the threat of exploding. 58. A rogue mechanic stole an entire airplane and flew it into the night. In 2005, he boarded a parked turboprop on the Alaskan tundra strip. The aircraft sat fully fueled and ready for departure. He took off into the darkness without any pilot license whatsoever. Stealing a plane is wild, but flying it untrained is insane. The mechanic vanished into the sky on borrowed mechanical knowledge. Air traffic surely panicked, tracking the unauthorized flight. Where he intended to land remains a baffling mystery. Hijacking your own joyride aircraft is gloriously reckless behavior. 59. Thieves unbolted and stole an entire stadium bleacher unit near Fort Knox. In the 1980s, these crooks targeted a local public field. They dismantled a massive structural steel bleacher section piece by piece. Hauling off seating built for whole crowds takes serious effort. The community returned to find nowhere left to sit and cheer. Stealing bleachers ranks among the bulkiest crimes imaginable. The thieves wanted heavy scrap steel more than common sense. Reselling stolen stadium seating sounds wonderfully ridiculous, honestly. Few heists leave fans literally standing in confusion. 60. Wild ginseng worth a fortune got poached from protected forest land. In 2014, plant thieves raided the Appalachian National Forest. They systematically dug up thousands of lucrative medicinal roots. Ginseng fetches astonishing prices on certain global markets. The poachers stripped the wild plants straight from the soil. Conservationists watched protected ground get quietly robbed bare. Stealing roots sounds harmless until the dollar value appears. These thieves treated a national forest like their personal cash crop. Robbing the wilderness of rare medicine is a sneaky green crime. 61. A woman kept a wild 8-foot alligator hidden inside her motel bathtub. In 2011, she captured the living beast near the Everglades outskirts. Most people flee screaming from a gator that enormous. She decided to bring it home as a houseguest instead. The massive reptile lounged in her motel bathroom like a scaly roommate. Hiding a thrashing apex predator behind a shower curtain takes nerve. Housekeeping surely got the fright of their entire careers. Where she planned to keep an 8-foot gator long-term baffles everyone. Few crimes involve smuggling a dinosaur into a budget motel. 62. A 15-foot fiberglass cowboy boot got stolen from a Texas outlet store. In 2018, thieves targeted the giant advertisement in the San Antonio Market District. This was no small trinket grabbed off a shelf. The towering boot stood taller than a one-story building. Somehow the crooks hauled the enormous custom display away completely. Sneaking off with a boot bigger than a truck defies logic. Shoppers arrived to find a strangely empty boot-shaped gap. Where you hide a colossal cowboy boot remains a mystery. Stealing oversized advertising is peak ridiculous Texas crime. 63. Liquid Tide detergent became actual street currency for a clever crime ring. Around 2011, thieves near Niagara Falls used custom foil-lined bags. They swiped thousands of individual bottles from retail stores. The foil lining tricked anti-theft sensors with sneaky precision. Then they traded the stolen detergent like cash on the streets. Tide bottles essentially became a laundry-scented black market money. Buying drugs with detergent sounds like a bizarre fever dream. Yet this strange, soapy economy genuinely thrived for a while. Few heists turned cleaning supplies into underground currency. 64. The largest mail heist in American history hit a federal truck. In the 1970s, thieves robbed a secure mail truck on the Cape Cod shipping line. This vehicle carried massive cash deposits between locations. The crooks pulled off a record-shattering haul of stolen money. Hijacking federal mail takes serious planning and serious guts. The sheer size of the score stunned investigators completely. Few criminals dare to rob the government this boldly. That truck became infamous in the history of American crime. Stealing the nation's mail money is a legendary outlaw move. 65. Someone chiseled an actual piece of the Berlin Wall off a public display. In 2013, a thief targeted Seattle's public waterfront. There stood a solid multi-thousand-dollar block of genuine history. The Berlin Wall once divided an entire city and the world. This crook hacked a chunk of it loose and carried it off. Stealing a literal symbol of fallen oppression is wild. The waterfront lost a meaningful relic to petty greed. Reselling stolen Cold War concrete takes a strange buyer. Robbing history of its hard-won monument is genuinely shameful. 66. Scrappers hauled tons of copper cable straight out of Pearl Harbor. In the 1960s, these thieves targeted decommissioned Navy docks. They sneaked away with heavy underwater structural copper cables. Stealing from a historic military base takes outrageous boldness. The crooks treated sacred naval ground like a scrapyard. Hauling tons of cable quietly seems nearly impossible. They cashed in priceless military infrastructure for raw metal weight. Robbing Pearl Harbor of anything feels deeply disrespectful. Few thieves dare to scrap one of America's most solemn sights. 67. Souvenir thieves chiseled bronze stars right off the Hoover Dam. In the 1980s, these crooks defaced a beloved historic monument. They pried giant Art Deco bronze stars from the structural walls. The dam stands as an icon of American engineering pride. Hacking decorations off it for keepsakes is pure vandalism. Visitors lost a piece of that legendary craftsmanship forever. Stealing chunks of a national landmark is breathtakingly selfish. The thieves wanted shiny trophies more than shared heritage. Few souvenirs cost a country a piece of its own history. 68. Midnight thieves dug up $10,000 of fancy shrubs from a park. In 2015, they raided the Central Park Conservatory under darkness. They uprooted rare, champion-bred ornamental landscape plants. Stealing shrubbery sounds silly until the price tag appears. These were prized specimens worth serious gardening money. Park crews returned to sad holes where beauty once grew. Hauling off heavy bushes quietly takes odd dedication. Reselling stolen designer plants requires a shady green thumb. Robbing a beloved park of its greenery is a leafy low blow. 69. Thieves stole toxic uranium ore straight from a Grand Canyon gift shop. In 2009, they grabbed preserved historical rock samples from a display box. These were genuinely radioactive uranium specimens. Stealing toxic glowing rocks endangers the foolish thieves themselves. The samples sat as educational curiosities for curious visitors. The crooks pocketed danger without a single second thought. Where you safely store stolen uranium baffles all logic. Robbing a gift shop of poison is spectacularly dumb. Few heists threaten the health of the actual criminals involved. 70. A collector walked out with fabric stripped from historic early airplanes. In 2001, he raided the Smithsonian Air and Space Archives. He took authentic flight-worn fragments from pioneering biplanes. These scraps had soared during aviation's earliest daring days. Most people would treasure such relics behind protective glass. He shredded history into pocket-sized souvenirs instead. Stealing pieces of flight heritage is deeply disrespectful. The nation nearly lost fragments of its airborne legacy. Robbing the Smithsonian of aviation history is a brazen betrayal. 71. Thieves stole a tanker truck holding 8,000 gallons of sugar syrup. In 1995, they targeted a Las Vegas freight yard with sweet ambitions. The massive tanker carried pure liquid syrup bound for soda factories. Driving off with a building-sized sugar bomb takes serious nerve. The crooks essentially hijacked enough sweetness for 1 million sodas. Where you secretly unload that much syrup remains a puzzle. Reselling stolen soda fuel sounds wonderfully sticky and absurd. The whole heist could give an entire city a cavity. Few crimes end this gloriously sweet and ridiculous. So out of all 71 of these ridiculous heists, which one actually broke your brain? Was it Einstein's gray matter riding shotgun in a cider box? The entire beach that vanished scoop by scoop? Or that 400-pound clown yanked clean out of his shoes? Drop your favorite in the comments and tell us which thief deserves a weird award. If this video made your jaw drop even once, smash that like button and subscribe to Dumbest Things. Because we hunt down the wildest true stories so you never run out of stuff to amaze your friends with. Now go tell somebody a beach got stolen.